Hey guys, it's Dodson.
And Burke.
Two Sides to It Gaming, talking about Diablo 2 that just came out. Let's talk about it.
I gotta say, Diablo 2, we were just on 3. Dodson, I'm not great with math, but what's going on here?
Well, I just felt the need to review a 21-year-old game. No changes necessary, right?
And review's done, right? I think that's pretty much it. We can
That's
wrap
right.
it up.
Yeah, it came out in 2000. If you haven't played it yet, you're really not going to play it now. And I don't even know if it would run on your PC. So
Mm.
thanks for checking out the
Mm.
video. If you're on Windows XP, check out Diablo 2, probably available at a bargain bin near you.
But no, in all seriousness, Diablo 2 Resurrected, right? Given
Resurrected
a
came out in September of 2021.
with a fresh coat of paint on this bad boy, this thing's got so much stuff inside it. Oh my.
Well,
Oh my.
let's get into what it has inside it.
Let's deep dive it, huh?
Yeah, because let me tell you,
Ooh.
does it have a lot
Well,
inside it?
well, gameplay wise, if you want to start there, right?
Sure,
Nothing's changed. There's no difference, right? There's nothing at all.
absolutely.
So if you never played it, it's actually gonna feel a little old to you. I feel like if you've played 3 already and you've played other games, you're gonna look at this and you might get a sense that damn, this is an old looking game still, or feels and plays like it.
Might feel a little ripped off because let me tell you, I got into it and I went, this ain't as good as I remember it. And that happens with a lot of games. They put out a remastered or
Yeah.
like going back to Battlefield Bad Company 2, which we played so many hours of and loved after playing 3 and 4 and 5 and 1. And you go back to what you think is the gold standard and you go, man, I forgot about all the little improvements they made over the last 15 years, in this case 21 years, and put into Diablo 3. And it just, it's, it's good, it's polished,
Yeah,
but comparably, you can definitely tell it's an old game.
for sure. And I wonder if that's what it's leaning heavily on is the nostalgia factor for people. I remember playing Diablo 2 when it first came out, and yeah, I remember it was the most amazing game at the time for me, and I had so much fun. But I will say I'm not hating it right now. They have made some improvements for obviously you can play it on a controller, you can play it on the PlayStation now,
Well, yeah,
but
let's talk about that point real quick. Both of us got it on the PS5, which is
yeah,
where we're reviewing this at. I did have it on the PC pre-ordered, ready to go. Figured it was going to be a PC game because 21 years ago it was made for PC. It had multiple controls depending on how many spells you have. I didn't think it translate well to the console.
we played the beta, and lo and behold, they did do some good things. Now, the one thing though, and I'm sure you'll agree with me on, is the stamina bar
Oh,
um, is a
Jesus.
problem.
The world would be over. We wouldn't save anything from the demons because we can run 12 feet and then we got to just sit down and take a rest for a minute. It'd be dead instantly. It's ridiculous, the stamina bar on this.
So, uh, with that, it's still enjoyable though. But and I'm glad they you can play it now. It's going to be a game where more people can play it that never experienced it before.
It's
I
making it accessible to a lot of people, but I think it's going to be aimed toward people that have played it before.
yeah,
Because somebody picking it up new, I don't know, they're going to enjoy this as much. With Diablo 3 being, I think, a better game, with Pillars of Eternity being out there, with
yeah.
all different kinds of games that are essentially copying this formula from 21 years ago, but have had a lot of time and a lot of tech to do it better.
And I think one of the things that's fun about the game, at least I feel like that's what it was then, and I don't think that part has really left, is that you kind of make what you want out of this game. I mean, do you want to be able to one hit Duriel in Act 2? I mean, I feel like that's what it becomes because once you complete the game with one character, you've got all this storage, and actually that's some stuff that they've got new for the game. They've got some more expanded storage for you and all that, but
Yeah, bigger storage
it,
bar, shared storage among your characters, which is nice, minus the hardcore characters have their own separate one.
yeah. But yeah, again, it's like once you beat it, are you going to want to play through it again with another character, especially as a veteran, as you and I are on the game? I don't know. I don't know.
Well, assuming somebody not a veteran is coming in to play this game, just to give them an idea, you're looking at a few different classes to play through on this, and this was the gold standard of this type of game, this dungeon crawler type of game, and a loot-based game. From Amazons and Assassins, Barbarians, Paladins, Sorceress, and then the Druid and the Necromancer that were in DLC are both included in the game. And whether or not you take to one or the other, I ended up messing around with a Druid and a Necromancer, and I felt they played very similarly. So I don't know if you're really going to want to finish as a Necromancer and then come back and play a Druid as well. Because it plays, especially if you go the summoning route, obviously, it's the same class just with some different skins.
Yeah. But I remember, you were like a level 5 character, or whatever level you could start doing PvP, and you could beat level 80 characters. It was that was kind of the fun, and there is something still about the grind for new gear to become better. I don't think that's what I enjoy about the game, though. I think still, and why it's still a good game for me.
It's definitely appeasing, and graphically, I don't want to overstep what they did. It looks way better. When I first fired up the game, I said this looks exactly like it did 21 years ago. Why are they even repackaging this and saying it's remastered? And then there's a little button you can click to see it in the classic graphics, and you go, oh man, the mind was putting a lot of fuzz on that one because it looks way better now. The animations, the detail in the background, just everything top to bottom looks way better than it ever did.
They definitely cleaned it up. But I feel like that's all you can say in the graphics department for this type of game. It's not going to blow you away. It's prettier than it was originally, and that's about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, Diablo 3, which is, I think, probably 10 years old at this point, 9 or 10 years old, I think it still looks better, even though this is a brand new release. So, yes, they polished it, but they still kept enough of the base to where it's identifiable, but that holds it back a little bit. But on this type of game, you're not looking solely at graphics. You're also looking at gameplay, which, as we mentioned, is enjoyable. It's very grindy. I don't know that it's calling me back like I have to finish it because I already finished it 21 years ago. I still have memory of that.
The endings, yeah. But it is a good game to play with friends. It's a great co-op game. You can drop in, play with others, so there is that too. It's a solid one at that, I would say.
Yeah, no, it's great to be able to grind through with somebody you know. Great co-op game to play, and it feels like it's endless. Yeah, you're progressing through a story, but you have some randomly generated areas and trying to find the next area and all the mobs in between then and there, and then the randomly generated mobs with different effects on them, and getting the co-op friend in there. You're also heightening the ability of the enemy, so everything gets a little bit harder the more people you add in, which adds just a little bit more to it depending on how that other person is playing.
And going back, what's a good idea that I like is they are planning for some cross progression. So if you did start on the PC and you want to switch over to the console or vice versa, you'll be able to carry over your progress too, which is kind of nice. So if you want to try it out someplace, you can, and then you can say, hey, I don't like it on the console. I want to be on PC, and you can do that.
Yeah, or vice versa, like I did with Diablo 3. Diablo 3, we both started on PC, and then we ended up going to console, and it translated really well, and Diablo 2 is much the same. I did the beta on PC, and then I did it on console, and I was sold to buy it on console. Don't knock it on console. I know PC Master Race and everything, but even if you did play it back then on PC, because that was your option, it works extremely well on console.
Yeah, just the movement, I feel like you can... And attacking enemies, there's just a little bit more finesse there with the controller. But I know I still played it on the PC, and it was weird at first. But Diablo 3 actually was the first entry into the controller, and I didn't know how that was going to work, and it worked. And they did a good job again here on 2. So
yeah, the binding to the spell slots, having L2 being able to select your second bar, it works extremely well. It's real intuitive. You pick it up right away. The aiming with a stick, being able to point, in a 360-degree direction is nice. It's a little different than the point and click on a mouse where you got to figure out the spot you're looking at and then click. Looting, however, is a little bit more rough on the console because you just got to kind of walk back and forth in between the right item until you find the right one you're hovering over and then pick it up.
And you did remind me, too, that sometimes I was playing the Sorceress And sometimes you're just, for some reason, stuck just throwing a fireball at a wall where there's no enemies sometimes. It just happens. You're just facing away and it's stuck on that spell, but little things, little minor things. It's not bad. And then there are small areas on the map. I think Arcane Sanctuary had those stairs, and it was just a little bit of a pain, but
Yeah, and it
you
does
can
get a
get
little
through it.
rough in some of those dark dungeons trying to go through the hidden doors that are in an opaque wall that you could barely see anyway. And then the mini map is nice and tiny in the corner unless you blow it up to take over half your screen. So there are some challenges, but that's just based on the old design of the game. Enough griping about it, however. Let's get our two sides in on it. What do you think?
So buy, wait, or skip. I say I'm gonna kind of cop out a little bit here. I'd say if you've never experienced Diablo 2, I think it's a buy. If you have, I think you can wait for this to come on sale because I feel like it's going to drop in price, even though it's what, $30 right now, 30, $40. You might be able to pick it up cheaper. And at the same time, you've already beaten the game. You're just looking at a game that's a little bit more polished, and that's about it, graphically wise. Other than that, same game you've always played. If you love it, you're going to continue to love it. If you hate it then, you're going to hate it now.
So you're hovering in between buy or wait, and I'm going to go the
Yeah.
opposite end of the spectrum, actually, and say either wait for it to go on sale. I believe $40 was the retail price on it right now everywhere. I probably wouldn't recommend spending over 20 on this, or skip it altogether. There's better dungeon crawlers out there now. There's been 21 years of development. I think Diablo 3 was a better game. I think Pillars of Eternity is a better game. Try one of those if you're going to try one for the first time.